Welcome.
Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back to another session. My name is Icarix, and this lovely gentleman over here is called Kunagusis.
Yes, and he's rather pissed off at the moment because of problems. We're trying to get this shit
Well,
going.
we've been encountering problems with Jitsi, dear
Yeah,
viewers.
so our go-to, we're of course in a call as we record our commentary, and we usually use Jitsi as the go-to platform just because it's handy. But we were having technical problems with it just earlier.
Yeah, for example, I was
It was
seeing Adam but not hearing him, and he couldn't hear or see me because my camera and audio was acting up for some reason, which is not
and for me,
fine.
my camera was acting up. I had to disconnect my camera, which meant accidentally disconnecting my keyboard whilst I was trying to trace the lead. So
Yes, so very annoying technical issues all around.
So we're
but
using
now
Zoom.
We're Zoom, and everything's hunky dory.
For
Isn't
now.
that right? Couldn't do this.
for now. But anyways,
For
to
now.
actually discuss what's actually happening,
Yes.
we are defending one of our settlements from an Armenian attack. The Armenians are coming. So,
The Armenians are coming. Run for your fucking lives.
and yes, I'd say this is probably going to go fine.
Well, let's hope so. You never know. Things could turn around very swiftly on us. It could be very tragic all around, but hopefully that won't be the case.
Yes. Well, we've covered the main areas with our phalanx troops, so yes.
Our handy dandy phalanx troops.
But yes, in Total War affairs, we've had some interesting updates regarding Warhammer 3.
Yes, let's hear.
So, Creative Assembly have released the, call it, teasers for the Shadows of Change DLC update, the disastrous DLC for Warhammer 3.
Ouch.
This is an update.
How'd that turn out?
This is an update that's coming out for later this month. And they've released so far expected new content for Grand Cathay and Zinch, which looks pretty promising. The Cathay reveal was, people were quite happy with that. New legendary hero for Cathay, a generic hero that seems to be kind of a missile melee hybrid, a couple of really good new units, that sort of stuff. And for Zinch, which is what I was looking forward to seeing, we got a few nice things. Not much, but a few nice things overall. A new generic Lord and Hero. We finally have the Chaos Sword and Exalted Hero. Because that has been missing from Zinch. And as a big Warriors of Chaos fan, I'd like to have more variety of Lords and Heroes to play with, and having generic melee variants for Zinch is neat. So, yeah, and I think 2 new units. What were they? Centaurs of Zinch, and I forget what the others are called, but basically like flamers but on discs.
How's it all looking so far, based on your opinion?
So far pretty good. I'm more than likely inclined to buy the DLC at this stage, but I won't buy it just yet. I'll wait for the Kislev reveal, I'll wait till it comes out, get a feel, see what it's like with it, and then I'll probably buy it.
Ah, okay.
So, because this is being added on top of what was already added to the DLC. But, yes, people have been memeing about the whole no beaks on Zangors. So, to contextualize a bit, one of the units that got added to Shadows of Change for Zinch were called Zangors. They're basically, well, there's a group called the Beastmen, and they have these units called Gors, basic generic-ish troops, infantry, monsters infantry, and it seems that in Warhammer tabletop and lore, there are variants that are devoted to certain chaos gods. Zangors, Slangors, Pestigors, and Corngors, and so CA added Zangors to Zinch in Shadows of Change, but they would noticeably they do not have beaks, which is avian features are a big part of D.O.N.G. And they apparently have been depicted in other works as having beaks. And CA are kind of trying to give some sort of explanation of, oh well, they're in this particular Warhammer fantasy world, Zangors don't have beaks because they're not really full-on mutated creatures. It's all basically, you might just say that the real reason why they don't have beaks is because Games Workshop don't want to give them beaks because of IP.
Why not?
Oh, so there's a thing. So there's a sort of like a revival form of Warhammer Fantasy called Age of Sigmar, and there's the old world, and it's very messy stuff. But in that, Zangors have beaks, and I guess Tail Worlds don't want what Total War Warhammer is doing, what the era that's covering, the IP that's covering, to overlap with this other IP, and it's all sorts of just silly stuff, really. So put simply,
And it does kind of sound silly.
yeah,
I mean,
is.
like,
This is Games Workshop we're talking about.
Are they known to be like overly serious about like even the smallest things?
I believe so. Especially when it involves
Okay.
copyright and IPs. They're very apey about that, from my understanding.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure everyone breaks copyright laws all the time anyway, so what's the difference here?
Sure, here's the thing. If Games Workshop apparently did not want any mods for Total War Warhammer games.
Okay.
They did not want any mods at all, modding to be allowed. But CA had to persuade them to allow mods, because modding is a big part of Total War.
I mean, like, what issue do they have against the modding
I
exactly?
don't know. I guess they just don't want the idea of people probably incorporating things that they don't have and cross IP stuff, and it's all silly, messy stuff.
It just sounds like an awful lot of bullshit to me. I mean, like, they're just making excuses at this point as to why they don't want mods, or they don't want to allow mods, honestly.
Again, mods are allowed, it's just that they originally didn't want it, they had to be persuaded by CA to allow it, that's from what I heard.
I know, I'm just like...
I guess, see, the whole thing is Warhammer belongs to Games Workshop. So the Warhammer Total War games are a collaboration between Creative Assembly and Games Workshop.
Okay.
So it's Games Workshop, I think, sign off on whatever CA do, basically. It's, again, a lot of this is just clearly it's Games Workshop being Games Workshop, is my understanding.
Yeah, they're just making a big... It sounds like they're just making a big fuss over nothing, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, if there's like a few similarities between these two things, I mean, like...
I guess it's kind of, I guess, the idea is that for them, they want the old worlds and Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Fantasy Battles and all them to be separate. They don't want overlap because that undermines the idea that they are totally separate. And if they're totally separate, you can charge people more with having to get all these different types of models. That's what I've heard anyways, and I don't know all this stuff well, but my understanding is if these things are, call it diluted, there's more overlap, then that means people could just use what models they have for this other game that's kind of related to play this other game, because these are tabletop games.
I suppose.
So I suppose it's ultimately just the nature of Games Workshop and how they like to do their business, as well as apparently some rivalry between different departments and studios or whatever, doing different things, also playing a role. It's very silly. But at the end of the day,
Sounds silly, honestly.
at the end of the day, that's how it is. They don't want to give Zangors beaks because reasons. So it's become kind of just a bit of a meme.
That's all we need, reasons.
Yeah, it's a bit of a meme. But anyways, the main thing is, I'm at least liking what I'm seeing. The Exalted Hero looks pretty interesting. They really went out there for the design of the Exalted Hero. Got 3 heads.
Okay. Any updates as to when exactly these are coming out?
Probably sometime next week, maybe.
Oh, not too long of a wait,
Because
then.
they apparently originally wanted to get it out by this week, but they said they'd had to just push back a little bit just to get finishing touches done.
Understandable, I guess.
So basically, yeah, we're gonna hope to get this stuff out by the end of the month. And then I think
Okay.
around April, May, I think April is roughly when Thrones of Decay will come out.
Okay.
And that's the next big DLC.
I'm assuming there have been no trailers or just like screenshots of what it could be like
Well,
just
for
yet.
Thrones of Decay, we know there's a rough idea of what's expected to will come with it. We know
Okay,
the
so
three
what's
facts.
expected?
Well, okay, so it's going to involve overhauls for the Empire, Nurgle, and the Dwarfs. And in terms of legendary lords, it's almost certain that Nurgle's getting Tamarkan. The Empire is probably going to get Elspeth von Draken because she has a relationship with Tamarkan. The Dwarfs, I'm not too sure. There's a few potential options for that one. I know one is Joseph Bugman. I think Malachi Mackenzie might be another one. I'm not that familiar with the lore to know much about them. Just these are names I've seen thrown around. There's going to be, I think, at least 3 legendary heroes with it, because that's now one of the things they're doing is they're going to have 3 legendary lords and 3 legendary heroes. Probably generic lords and heroes for each, and Nurgle will probably be in need of a Chaos Sorcerer hero of Nurgle and a Chaos Lord of Nurgle, because they're missing from Nurgle.
Okay.
Chaos Lords are a melee lord, melee character. There's a few units that are likely to get, Nurgle's likely to get. I think like Plagued Ogres and Dragon Toads, just Toad Dragons or something like that. Stuff like that. I don't know. See, nothing's been officially revealed. I think it's going to
I'm
be.
just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Honestly.
At the moment, there's going to be focusing trying to get the Shadows of Change stuff sorted.
At least they got their priorities sorted out. At least.
Well, yes,
you know,
they're basically having to try and, get back into the fans' good graces. So they.
Probably gonna take a while for that to happen.
Well, at
but
least
they're working
the main
towards
thing is
it.
that they delayed Thrones of Decay, because that was originally meant to come out like December. That was meant to come out like last December. But they had to push it back because they had to focus on redoing Shadows of Change or updating that. Because of the pushback they got.
Well, that's kind of to be expected, I suppose. At least they're making an effort this time around.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while for them to get back into the fans' good graces, but at least they're working towards it this time around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'd say
Need to
so.
keep up. They just need to keep up the effort, is all, and hopefully things will turn out well for them.
Yeah.
It might take a while, but at least they're getting somewhere.
Yeah, and then I'm curious to see what the next DLC after that is. It's generally thought it's going to be a Slanesh one. But we don't know anything. Well, it's likely a Slanesh one. As for who else is going to
Any
get
sort of
updated with Slanesh, we don't know. Could be the High Elves because there's a bit of a relationship there.
which do you? I mean, like, I know nothing's really confirmed yet, but what would you hope for personally? Which one would you go for?
Well, with the Slanesh DLC, I think High Elves could make sense. Again, I'm not too concerned with what else is coming on. Again, I don't know much, but it would make sense if it's Slanesh and High Elves, because apparently there's a bit of a relationship there. Slanesh has kind of a thing for elves, likes to really mess with the elves, I believe. Nikari, who's the current kind of Slanesh character, is kind of often fighting with the elves in where he's at in the Mortal Empire's map. There's, in fact, a former elf character that is aligned to Slanesh, D'Challa the Denied One. She was an elven noble that kind of caught the eye of a Slaneshi demon prince, and that's the gist of it, but let's just say things have kind of fucked up from there. And she's a Slanesh-aligned demon now. She's got like 6 arms and the lower body of a snake. And I think she could be a likely legendary lord for Slanesh. in that DLC. So we'll just see what happens when the time comes. I'm curious to see though.
It's like there's 3 potential options. So I mean, hopefully the Sinesh one is the one that comes out. It sounds like an interesting bundle to deal with. So.
Again, we know that there's Thrones Decay involves Nurgle Empire dwarves. The next DLC is thought to be Sinesh because of the picture that was attached to it. But we don't know anything officially about that one, and it could be that one's been pushed back with something else to take over. That's one thing I've heard speculated. But we don't know yet what's going to happen after Thrones Decay.
Or hopefully they'll start updating us around March, closer to April, I suppose.
Probably, I say once Thrones Decay is done, they'll probably begin hyping up the next DLC. But for now, we'll just have to see.
I guess.
But
anyway, it looks like our citizen militia is holding out a decent defense there.
Yeah, and we're trying to rely on our cavalry to rear charge that blob there.
Well, hopefully it goes pretty well.
See, there's a good few
like
spears so they can resist the cavalry a bit. You know, I remember expert charge defense got removed. Yeah. But I think it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we're holding out a decent defense on all sides.
Oh, yeah?
The Armenians may be packful bastards, but at least we're holding up a good defense.
See, there's not a lot of high quality troops with them. They're mostly lower tier troops.
The Armenians or our group?
Armenians. It's mostly lower tier troops they've got.
Oh, okay.
Georgians, just the way the AI just recruited these units.
Oh.
You see, the AI doesn't replace units.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't disband and replace and rebuild armies, nor does it retrain units. That can
What, they always
retrained.
just keep them the same way?
So basically, if you've been... So, let's say, for example, you're talking about Rome, okay? AI Rome has an army full of its Camillan-era troops.
Okay.
You could be at turn 150, and if that army was never wiped out or took any significant damage, you could still be seeing Camillan troops being fielded, even though by that point AI should have reached its Marian reforms.
Wow. Okay. So they just never updated or anything like
The
that.
AI is just, I don't know, it's just the AI is too dumb to be able to actually. It only replaces units when it loses a unit or builds a new army. So you can get armies that are like mostly Camillan troops, but then they might have like an imperial unit because they reached that reform and now they can recruit that. But it doesn't reconfigure its own armies necessarily. It doesn't do that without an army being wiped out.
I don't know. It sounds like it would be an interesting difficulty curve. I mean, like, think of it this way. You just said yourself that the AI isn't exactly smart enough to handle all of this. So, and I'm assuming it doesn't take up that much processing power. So, I guess what Creative Assembly could do, if they just ever decided to put their mind to it, is like they could put in a patch where like
They haven't worked on this game in years. They stopped
I
working on
mean,
Rome
like
2.
they keep updating it at the very least.
They don't keep
you know,
updating
so-
Rome 2. They've stopped working on Rome 2 years ago.
Oh, okay then.
DEI gets updated, but that's a mod,
Ah, all right then.
and they can't directly edit the AI's behavior.
Okay then.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess when they were developing it, at the very least, like, I think what they could have done is like they could have found a way to make it a little bit more of a challenge. You know, like
They
every time a
could've,
unit
but
gets
they didn't.
defeated.
For whatever reason, the game was...
No, but I'm just saying it could have been an
they rushed
interesting
the game
difficulty
out. That was the
curve.
thing. The game got rushed out.
All I'm saying is like it could have been an interesting learning or difficulty curve
Could've.
if it was implemented.
Certainly. But alas, CA didn't bother, or didn't have the resources to do so because of the time constraints. Who knows what the reason is, but they did rush the game out. We know that much.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It could have had potential, but again, we'll never know, probably.
Oh yeah, considering Rome 1 was very popular.
Oh, it looks like the Armenians are trying to find another way in,
A lot of those
perhaps?
units broke.
Oh, that was easy enough.
You see, when the flag goes all white and faded, that means the unit has broken.
Oh, okay then.
You see?
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
That means they've broken. They're routing.
Spirits are broken. They're rolling for the hills.
Yes,
All
but
hope is lost.
shattering means they're gone for good in terms of the campaign in the map. If they're shattered, that means they're not coming back onto the battlefield. But when they break, there's a chance they'll reform and come back, so you'd want to shatter them to actually get them off.
Okay.
That's how it works in Total War. Yeah, the cavalry's raking in the kills now.
Yes, indeed. Looks like those guys down there have the right idea. Oh, it looks like we have another group that's broken now.
Yep.
Yep, everything's righty dandy for us.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Armenian spearmen also, they're pretty low tier.
How come they're so full of low tier forces or something?
Because again, it's like probably an early game army that's all it could really recruit.
Ah, of course.
You know, factors don't already start off having immediate access to their elite troops. That takes a while.
I suppose.
And it's just the AI doesn't... The player would probably replace a lot of lower tier trash units with better units. The AI doesn't do that. It just keeps them unless they've been damaged and have to be disbanded or wiped out. Then the AI does replace them.
That definitely makes sense.
Basically, it can't go out of its way to replace them. In that sense.
No, it's just like, it doesn't really have the processing power for it.
It's just not able to do that. It's not able to go, oh, I need to get rid of this unit because this is better. Or retrain.
Like I said, it doesn't have the processing power
or
to
retrain this unit into a better version that exists now. It can only just go, I have these units. Oh, I've lost a unit. Okay, here's a new unit. And that might just be a better, more elite version. You know, an upgraded version or something, but it can't upgrade or reform its units. Now it looks like we're getting to a mass rout. Yep.
Yeah. Dropping like flies there. Our hoplites are on the move.
Uh-huh.
Yep, they're all scattered to the winds. I don't see any more in our general vicinity, so I'd say...
They've all routed. I'm just chasing them down.
Yeah, it looks like everything's going well for us. And yeah, a close victory. I'd say that was a great victory.
Yeah,
or a close
that's
one.
just the way it described it, doesn't it? It's a close victory.
The gods speak through thunder.
Alright then.
Some Arabian rebels. Dura.
Yes, you could say that was very decisive. It only lasted like 2 seconds.
Defender of Antioch.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
There's Samosata. Trying to get that back.
Let's see, we're moving towards Samosata. Samosata. I can never get these names right.
Yes. Yeah, Samosata. I think that's probably where Lucian came from.
Oh,
The Roman
okay,
poet Lucian, because Lucian of Samosata. He wrote, among other things, a true story.
Yeah?
Which is not a true story, of course.
Okay, then.
It's about a journey to the moon.
Okay, yeah.
It was a satire.
A bit of an inspiration.
It's how I learned of Ctesias. Actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's how I first learned of Ctesias. Because Lucian had a dig at him. But he talks at the start of A True Story how he's a liar, and he's honest about it, because talking about how people who write ethnographic works and never went to places like Ctesias
So he's like
of
an
Cnidus,
unreliable.
like Ctesias of Cnidus, who wrote about India despite having never set foot in there.
So he's like a reliable, unreliable narrator.
Kind of. The whole point, I suppose, is he's basically mocking a lot of these guys who wrote ethnographic stuff about places they never went to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, at least I suppose Herodotus travelled around, but and I was thinking Ctesias wrote about India, and he never set foot there. He was getting all of his information from travellers, merchants and the like, from India. Some were probably Bactrian. Thus, he was relying on that as his information, which well, ain't exactly the most
Not
reliable.
exactly reliable. It could be open to multiple interpretations, but
Yeah.
I suppose that's all. That's all he could afford, honestly.
Because Ctesias was a physician in the Persian Empire, Achaemenid Persian Empire.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, he was a Greek physician from Cnidus, which is, I think, in fairness, that's like in Asia Minor. And he found himself in the again the Persian court of Artaxerxes, and was the I think the court physician, or one of the court physicians. As far as I recall, I think Xenophon mentioned him in his Anabasis. But yeah, and he wrote this work on India. He also wrote a work on Persia, the Persica.
Wow.
Both texts have been lost.
So how do we know about them if they've been lost?
Well, one, a lot of people talked about them. Quite a number of ancient authors talked about these texts and quoted and referenced them. And our big source for his Indica, his work on India, and even the Persica, are from a guy called Photius of Constantinople.
Okay.
He was a Byzantine patriarch, so patriarch of the church, and he basically wrote a lot of he wrote to his brother, I believe, and often in these letters he was summarizing different books and things he read. And among these was the Indica, which he has one text talking about. So he's kind of he's summarizing what's in the Indica, but it seems apparent that he's that he probably had the actual copy of it in front of him, based on some of the I guess call it the phrase, some quirky phrasing, if my memory is correct, and some of the way he seems to...
He got really lucky, basically.
Well, basically, he's essentially, it's almost like, it's very likely he had an actual copy of the Indica in front of him when he was, or at least he had access to it as he was writing to his brother about it. thus that at least helps with a bit more of the reliability of what he was saying and knowing what Catesius said. There are other, I think, summaries of his work or kind of quotations from different authors, I believe. I have a book.
That's the most likely one that we're going to be able to gather from, I suppose.
So I've got I've Andrew Nichols' Catesius on India book, and I think he provides as best as of a reconstruction of the text from, I think, a variety of different sources, mostly Photius. It's interesting.
Sounds like it.
Because I remember when I was learning of this, when reading Lucian, I was like, I actually want to know more about this Catesius and his India. Because he's writing, like, even before Alexander arrives in India, basically.
Are there any more sources to glean from in this regard? I mean, like, I know the original ones were lost, but is there any more, like, information about it regardless?
Like, as in ancient works about India?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think there's maybe one or two. I think maybe Arian. I think at least one source about it from someone who was with Alexander, I think. I think his name was
Any chance
Arian.
of finding it? Any chance it's still out there?
I think. I don't remember. See, I'm not the well versed in this, but I think something like that may have also been lost and you're behind other people's accounts who use them as a source. But that's the best I can say at the moment. Plus, we're running out of time anyway, so can't delve into this too much right now.
Nah. Alright then. To wrap up, it seems like we are updating the Harpies clause.
We're just checking around and sorting out a few little things, making a few adjustments before we go further. We're still fairly early into this campaign, so... But we have an attack on, I think it's probably Samosata, maybe? Yep.
Yes.
The Manticore's clause, an Armenian force attacking with our army inside. Now this is an army that does not have any phalanx troops in it, so...
Ouch. This is where we'll leave you guys.
Yeah, until next time.
Be sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you all very soon.
Indeed.